11.
What?
Yeah, because the other 3 are on. They're on deck.
Mr. EP, we're double digits?
Yeah, that's the wild part.
And
man.
with that. Ooh.
Not bad.
Good evening. How's everyone doing? Nice to see everybody. Gentlemen, it's always good to be back.
Talking to audiences.
Cheers. Cheers. Welcome to What's the Purpose? My name is CK.
I'm Dizzle Daps.
Russ.
And this is What's the Purpose, Dad's Unscripted.
Yes.
Episode 11. What? When did that happen?
Double digits.
Double digits. Oh my gosh. Feels like yesterday we were sitting in the back talking about this, and now we're at 11. Holy crow.
I know.
Gotta post. Oh, man.
Shout out to the consistency, eh?
Hey, as much as possible.
As much consistency as possible. I'm all for it. Now, the key thing, because I was watching something the other day.
Mm-hmm.
This is not related to the topic, but you mentioned consistency. That is definition of success. Consistency.
Yeah.
Now, the reality is consistency does flow up and it does flow down because, unfortunately, well, I guess that's where inconsistency comes in. However, it's funny because someone can consistently do the bad thing.
Yes, they can consistently be inconsistent.
Is that where inconsistency comes in? Is that where inconsistency comes in?
Yeah, I'd say so.
All right. Well, we're trying to be positive here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead. Thoughts? I see.
No, I'm saying if you're consistent, it doesn't matter. If you're consistently late for work, you're just consistently
late. Yeah,
work.
exactly. That's not inconsistent.
That's not inconsistent. You're consistent.
That's consistent. So that's why we're trying to have this as a positive.
You might be wrong, but at least you're consistent.
Wrong and strong.
Wrong and mighty.
Wrong and mighty.
Yeah, so for us to be at episode 11, I'm grateful. I appreciate it. We're going to jump right into some topics here.
Yeah, for sure.
So the topic that we were looking at, and I appreciate how we're able to have a bit of a flow, like we're trying to give guidance. Again, the purpose of this podcast is hopefully one day we will believe that our kids, because technology is so advanced now compared to when we were kids, the idea of this, if you would have said this to me at 8 years old, 10 years old, like, oh yeah, now you can listen to people talk, and I'll be like, yeah, that's the news. That's what it was. But now it's like anybody can just have a conversation and just flow with things, right? So in this situation, I'm believing that our kids will be able to, see this one day and be like, oh, so that's what was it all about for my dad. And, as episodes flow, we'll keep it real with them and keep it real with ourselves, because I know I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
But I also know that I'm striving to be the best version of myself, right?
Yeah.
So the question or the topic that had come up was, I reference it as guidance points, specifically to your 8 to 12-year-old self. So almost like preteen. And how did you receive guidance? Was it hard? Was it gentle? Was it beforehand, like before something happened? Or was it afterwards? And who was your guide? Was it indirect? Was it direct? So there's a lot of pieces behind that. So I'll break it down. So the reason why I said 8 to 12 is because I'm thinking about my own kids right now. I have an 8-year-old who she swears she's 18. She swears she's big. She thinks she's big. She thinks she can handle life. And then when things come at her, she sees the real behind it, or I'm hopeful that she sees the real behind it. And I'm constantly trying to guide her.
Right.
But then I have to think back in myself, and I'm like, man, I don't really remember having that type of guidance in that type of way. Or the guidance that I did get was as how I referenced the question, which is, was it hard or was it soft? Was it gentle? Was it beforehand? Was it afterhand? A lot of the ones that I got was kind of hard sometimes because unfortunately my head did tough. So even if they said like, hey, you should do this or you should do that, I was like, that didn't really happen. And I had to learn it the proverbial hard way. And then there's the same thing with beforehand, where it's like, hey, y'all go to a road, don't do this, don't do that, but you end up not listening. Something happened, and you get the, guidance after
listen
the fact.
must feel.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's the who it came from, and it can be direct, indirect, which is family, or it could be like for myself. I grew up in the church, and there was a lot of individuals that, you'd see them once a week, or you'd see them on a ever so often basis, but you'd see how they would carry themselves. And, kids are impressionable, right? We can see where, this person is this way or this person is that way. And then there's sports. Like we all watch different things growing up related to sports, whether it be from when I was younger, watching your earnest with Michael Jordan or rebounds with Charles, all those different stuff with sports. Because for me, I grew up with basketball. So I'm saying all of that in how did you receive guidance, and then how did it shape you? Have I thoroughly confused you guys?
No,
No, good.
There's a lot of parts to that question.
There is, and that's what we're going to do
break it
piece by
down, yeah,
piece.
break it
Yeah,
down,
let's do
it'll
piece by piece. So the first one, I know for myself, I answered a bit already. I got more hard guidance to a degree, especially because as I said, I didn't always listen. So mine was hard, and sometimes it would be afterward because I wouldn't listen beforehand. So I can take responsibility for that.
Interesting.
And that came more so from my parents. My dad did try his best to give feedback beforehand, but it would always be the reprimand after. I'd get reprimanded after because of, I didn't do well in school at the time, or, I give so much attention to this blasted sports. Forgive me, I almost cussed. I was gonna replay what he would say. This sports, right? Not realizing in this day and age, I was like, if you realize that your kid is into something and they're wanting to be good at it, let them be, right? You gotta support them, right? So that was the thing for me. And what ended up happening is that it shaped me, and I say this carefully, and it was somebody else who pointed it out to me, that made me realize, like, I ended up being, I don't want to classify myself as a pleaser in any way, shape, or form, but I am very service oriented. I'm very service oriented. I do like to be of help to others, and it has a pro and a con, because when you are dependable, when you are able to, be there for other individuals, they definitely are like, oh yeah, call him. He'll help you. He'll be there for you. No question, no whatever. And then unfortunately, that can be taken for granted sometimes.
That's how I got a lot of the furniture into my house. That's how I got it. Cheers to me. Cheers to being reliable.
Cheers to being reliable. Hey, listen. Put that on a t-shirt. I'm going to say that right now. Put that on a t-shirt. Cheers to being reliable, because not a lot of people can say that.
I think I come from the same who can hear I go feel type of vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't remember a time not, like hearing that little phrase spewed out while you're in the middle of being, I guess, overly excited or over engulfed in what you're doing. To be like, who can hear go feel? Or what was the other one? Chicken Mary Hawk in the air.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean?
Now pay attention, so I'm not going to catch you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So like that
Giving
is,
context for who's need to
that's
clarification for
that's
that.
the one that sits, and like getting maybe the reprimand or the, I guess, more like the counseling after the fact.
Yeah. But it was never gentle. That's the part that
it was never gentle.
To me, it's a standout where it was never, hey, come down to your level. Let me reason. Like, as much as you're a kid.
Yeah.
Let me reason with you. Let me let you know. Because that was never. Yeah.
I think, you know what? Come to think of it, like I remember one situation I got that was more when I was later on in maybe about 10, 11. That's when the giving me logic kind of helped in a certain situation that I was in, which helped me afterwards. But it also lit something inside of me that I never realized. Even to this day, I think back at it and I was like, ooh, you know what I mean? That old version of myself, I'm just going to pluck that back and plug it into now. Because like, even just to tell a story, I had gone into like my mom's purse and took something out of it because I saw what everybody else was doing at school and what they were bringing to school. So I wanted to flash too.
I wanted to flash.
They had, their $100 or $200 or, I wanted to just flash a little too. Like everybody's doing it. Why can't I do it? So I did it, and she I came down, not even that. She came down to the school because she realized it was missing. And she like just brought me outside and she's like, did you take it? Like, you can't be honest, and I'm not going to hit you or say anything, but you got to understand, like, this is for your purpose. Dinner. This is for your food and whatnot. And I ended up taking it out, giving it to her. But that day onward, a different version of me came out that even to this day, my mom always talks about, she's like, yo, you're a kid that always used to love how to save. So after that point, they would give me money and they'll find it in my socks. And I would go to school, not even use it. Because I was like,
hold it.
There's going to be a day that I'm going to flash. And none of you can say nothing to me after that.
Yeah.
So from that day onward, I was like, they used to call me a miser because they would be like, yo, you have, nope.
No, not that thing.
Nope.
Not that thing. I don't
Even
have
led to high school.
Stack notes.
You know what I mean? Like to high school where I was like, I'd get lunch money and I'd go to high school and they'd be like, yo, the canteen too far. I don't really want to walk. Go down there. I'd be like, yo, if you buy me a patty, I'll walk down there for you.
Yeah.
They'd be like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
and
go hustle.
that's how I did it. And then my mom would be like, yo, we gave you this money to go to school. How do you still have the same amount at the end of the week?
Yeah, creative.
You know what I mean? Like, so from that moment of me learning that lesson became, you know what? I'm just going to do my own thing and just make sure that I got mine.
Yeah, facts.
It's funny that you say that because I'm trying to teach. Because girls are different. Like, I'm not there yet with my son, but girls are different when it comes to seeing other things and like, oh, I want that. Why can't I get that? And blah, 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 right? And I'm trying to instill in them, like, yo, just humble yourself. Just you know, we don't know what anybody's situation is. Unless they tell you, you don't know. So just chill. Just chill. If mommy and daddy can get it for you, we'll get you what we can get for you. Because this is a sidebar, but I'll mention it. Like, I don't want to create I don't want my kids to have a level of ungratefulness. And I'm trying to let them know, especially when it comes to food. Because the amount of times that I will send them with food and then it'll come back home, either half eaten, not touched, whatever, and then they're quick to want to throw it into the green bin. And I have to give context, and I don't do it in the most gentle way, unfortunately. I want to get better at it. I am getting better at it. But I'm letting them know, because it brings back to me back in Jamaica, where I would have lunch money, which was blessed. I appreciated it. But obviously, as you said, it wouldn't stretch or it wouldn't be enough. And by the time you get home, you're marved. You're marved.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to wait because everybody's situation is different, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to let them know that there's so many individuals who don't have the blessing that they have.
Yeah.
So it goes to your point of like, yo, you understood it because your mom, tried to give you that insight, and it worked out well for me.
Yeah, it worked out well for me. You know what I mean?
Worked out well for you.
That's a gift and a curse, though. Like, because you can spend all this time trying to provide for your kids the life that you wanted. Because when you were small, you would have appreciated it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then they grow up and they don't even see it because they don't see life through your lens.
No, because they didn't grow up. Again,
They didn't grow up, which is a good thing. They didn't grow up like how you had to grow up, or they didn't have the want for certain things like how you may have had the want for things. But then you kind of try to like straddle that line of being able to give them, but then also have them be appreciative of what's in front of them.
A lot of times I have, and I wouldn't use the word threaten, but I have said to my girls, you know what, you guys should go to school without lunch today. Since I'll put breakfast in front of them, I'll give them breakfast in the morning, and then they're turning around like, oh, I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want this. Keeping in mind, it's something that they asked me for. They asked me, can I have this for breakfast? Sure.
Yes.
I'll get it for you. It'll be there.
Yeah.
Do the whole prepping, whatever. And in the morning, they'll get it. I don't want this. I'm full, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And then I'll give them their lunch, and they come back, and the lunch wasn't even eaten, or just, I don't even know. And I remember saying one day, you know what? I'm going to not give you guys lunch. And my middle daughter comes up the next day. She's like, oh, Daddy, so you're not giving us lunch today, right? Like she's almost like holding me to it. Like, so we are going to school without lunch today, just to make sure. And I'm like, no, I'm going to give you lunch. Just please make sure you eat it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's a matter of she's testing me or whatever, but I myself know that my parents never sent me without any lunch.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, yo, I'm not about to have you go to school
With
no lunch. If you don't eat, I'd rather be like, yo, it was a choice that you didn't eat versus I don't have it.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. I remember mans back in high school who didn't have it.
Yeah.
They'd come to school and sometimes it would be a interesting situation where it's like, yo, my mother, like, they'll be like, yo, my mother forget to give me the money today. You know? So it's like, yo, if he forgot to get the money from his mom, and this is pre-cell phone and not all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So
that's it, bro.
he's like,
That's
yo,
it.
that's it. He ain't got nothing for the day.
Mhm.
And you're just, lunchtime come, this
Yeah,
comes,
yeah,
and you're just, yo, I
You're
guess,
literally
fasting before it became popular, I guess. So that's my insight with the guidance I would give to myself as like, yo, be appreciative.
Yeah.
The takeaway that I have is be appreciative for what you have, because there's definitely, you know, your parents grew up a certain way, you grew up a certain way, and you want to create a better for your kids. But I think we've all heard it where unfortunately by doing that, we end up creating just, I don't want to use weak. Weak is not the word that I want to use, but you'll hear it where it's like, oh, one generation worked their behind off, created the wealth, created better for their offspring, and then that same offspring lost it all.
Yeah,
and
what's
then
that
now,
saying they say? Tough times make strong men, strong men make easy times, easy times make weak men. Or
right.
like that.
I've heard that.
Yeah,
and it's fair. It's very fair. And that's why even now with any business that we're doing or anything that I'm doing, I'm trying to incorporate it with my kids so that they understand like, yo, this is, it don't just grow on trees like that.
Yeah.
It don't just grow on trees like that. And just a level of appreciation for stuff, not just physical appreciation, but just also relational appreciation.
Yeah.
Because when I reflect back on it now, I'm like, okay, 8, 9, 10, I did have, like, I had one grandparent. I had grandpa, right? And then I'm looking at my kids now and I'm like, yo, I got emotional talking to them. I was like, do you guys understand? You have both your grandmothers and your grandfather? Like, do you understand the win that you are winning when it comes to them also being willing to take you? They're calling us, or they're like, oh yeah, send them, come, no problem, we'll take them. Because when I say to you, I know individuals, unfortunately, who they will have their grandchildren, or they will know that their kids have their grandkids, have their own kids and whatever, and they're not offering no olive branch.
Right.
Or if they're offering olive branch, it's very
Rare.
limited.
Seldom. Yeah.
It's limited, and I don't take it for granted. So I'm trying to let my kids know, like, you have your grandparents that are willing to take you. Come on, appreciation, level of appreciation. Like, I'm on them more, like, I think more than I should, but I want them to have that level of appreciation. Because when you arrived today, this is a side note, but I couldn't help when you came in. Yeah. My oldest said to you, "Congratulations."
Yeah.
What was your that took me off. That took me back.
Oh. Yeah, even like his face was like, I was like, what? And he's just like, she said congratulations. I was like, oh. I was like,
so
his face was a little bit shocked.
I took that. So again, I don't think we mentioned any. I think it was all in conversation.
Yeah.
And obviously she knows who you are.
Yeah.
So that was the last thing I was expecting her to say.
When I saw it, I was like,
it caught you. It caught you, right?
Yeah.
So it shows that they do hear.
They do hear and they pay attention.
Sometimes, man,
it's because I have, not saying it was not, I wouldn't call it trouble. I don't want to rephrase it that way. Like, I have the same thing that happens with King, and I was like, there was like a point in time where he would like shy away from the phone talking to my mom, and I was like, and then one day she came off the phone and I sat down with him and I was like, blood, you wear that shirt almost every single day and talk about how happy you have you're because he has a Sonic shirt that he used to wear like every day. And I was like, bro, she worked to go to the store, buy you that shirt, and then had the thought to ship it,
to send it
to us.
Yeah, so that you can have it.
That's
my guy.
I'm always trying to teach my kids. Like,
do you know how much effort that is?
Yeah, but even the fact that they did not have to do that.
No, they did not have
That's not just because they did it didn't mean that they had to.
They had to. No,
they thought of you and did it.
And did it.
You know, so just explaining that, be like, hey, listen, you all know what? That's so funny because often we don't think about that. So I remember. Because I'll bring it to like something small, and it's like influencing people and stuff like that. Like so when I was in college, I was working at Loblaws, right? And this kind of drove that point home for me about like what people have to, and effort and consistency and stuff like that.
Right,
You
right,
might
right,
take
right.
it for granted,
Yeah.
but someone else would not, right? And I was getting up every day and I'd go to work and I'd go to school. And one of my brothers one day, he just came to me and said, yo, I hate you, dog. And I'm like, for what? Like, I'm just going to work, going to school. He's like, bro, you get up every morning at like 5 a.m. to go to Loblaws to go to work, and then you come to school after. And I'm like, so like, yo, you're just going to work. He's like, but bro, you don't have to do that. Like, and it didn't dawn on me that I didn't have to do it. I was just doing what I had to do.
Yeah.
But it didn't dawn on me that, oh, you don't have to do that. And then I started realizing like everything. You can't really take things for granted. When people are acting or doing something, if you have a good friend and someone's making conscious decisions to do something to impact you or impact, you gotta sometimes look and be like, you didn't have to do that.
Yeah,
they didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
So, just making sure we're always aware of that.
Yes.
So,
And it's to tie into the topic too. It's also what I would tell my 8-year-old self or 10-year-old self is be present.
awareness.
Awareness.
Be present in that moment. Don't try to be 13 or be 15 or be like your older sister or be like your older brother.
And trying to
be
tell them
you
in the moment.
in this moment.
That's what,
because that moment is not going to come back again.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was what I was gonna say. For what advice I would have gave my younger self is to not follow.
Yes.
I feel like for a very long time I was a follower so much I didn't even know who I was. Because all my moves weren't even my own. Like, I would just be influenced. I had a lot of friends. I was grateful that I had a big social group. But the thing is that sometimes with having that big social group, you don't really get to spend enough time with you and figure out who you are and what the things that you like. And, you know, and I remember there's a point that I love basketball, but the friends I was hanging out with at a certain point didn't play. So guess what?
You didn't play.
I didn't play.
Yeah.
And look how many years of my life they didn't join basketball teams, they didn't do anything. Years of my life, all the formative years, like high school and like, you know, stuff like that. Like I didn't really take it serious. And then when I started playing mad late, like closer to the end of my high school career.
Yeah.
But like, I love the game. I'd go outside and play sometimes, and I always like watch the game or played on the systems and stuff. But like, I never took it serious. So if I had acknowledged to myself, like, oh, I really love this game. This is something that's important to me.
Let me give the attention.
Let me give the attention to it.
Yes, 1000%.
So yeah,
It's funny that you're tying into that because I'm on the reverse side to a degree because just like you, I love ball and love it to the point where I don't need the friends to be, a part of it. Like right now, my core group of guys, none of them play. But I make sure I try and figure out how to get into a run consistently. Gentlemen who I may not know, but obviously, as nature has it, when you play basketball with guys, you make it could be friends, it could be associates, it could be something of the sort that allows it. Like, yo, all right, these guys are cool, but we run ball, we this or that. You never know what it could translate to.
Right.
Yeah.
But I acknowledge what you're saying and the importance of that, consistency, that discipline, and that's something that I know that it's not an easy. It's so funny. It's so simple and easy, but it's so not simple and easy. And to tie back to what you just mentioned as far as you don't have to, I realized something that resonates with me over and over is if you have a certain vision or desire within yourself, within your head, you're like, yo, this is where I see me. That's where you have that desire to say, yo, I'm gonna wake up at 5 o'clock and go. I'm gonna go to class and do this because this is what I desire. Because I have interacted and seen individuals who, for them, getting up and going to work at you name the place. There's no job that is, oh, that's an awful job, I wouldn't do it. But I appreciate individuals who get up every day and say, yo, this is the job that I chose to do.
And I'm going to keep doing it.
Now, keeping in mind, if you choose to do a certain type of work, obviously it has a certain pay scale, then your life is going to be reflective accordingly. And if you know, hey, man, I want to be traveling and going here and doing this and having this experience and doing this here, it has to balance. It has to balance. So that's why for some people, I can understand why they'd be like, yo, man, this guy's at school every day. Yo, this guy's working every day. This guy's doing this.
Purpose driven, man.
It's the purpose behind it. It is the purpose behind it.
Yeah.
It is important to have that consistent pull. And I appreciate you mentioning, like, yo, telling your younger self, like, yo, just be.
Yeah.
Like, yo, just be with you. Like, it's so funny now. I enjoy or so appreciate, like, if I see a sunset that if I'm driving somewhere and I see a certain type of sunset in the city here, you know how sometimes you're off either the 401 or depending on where you are, the sky just turns a different color.
Like a
pinkish, orangish color.
Yeah.
I pull off and I just have a moment. I'm just taking it in. Just taking it in, just me by myself, just enjoying it because, you know, life, that's why they say life is a gift. Yeah. And that's why it's called the present. Yeah. Be in the moment. Be in it. And it's like, yo, enjoy
Take
that.
the present it's giving you.
Right.
It's so funny that as simple as it is to say, it's actually very hard to do.
Which part?
To just being present.
Yes.
Because it's like
yes.
you have so many things going through your mind, so many endeavors and goals and
dreams, aspirations,
problems, stressors, and you know, people you gotta account for and this all that.
Worse if you're a planner.
Yeah, you're thinking about everything.
So would you classify yourself as a planner?
To a certain extent.
You?
No.
Let's put it this way. Do you live and die by your calendar?
No.
So that's where
I live and die by my routines.
So there's that, but see, that's where
I would say the same.
Yeah, I live and die by my routines.
Yeah, I would say
so. Routines meaning like, hey, on a daily basis, you know, this is what this is what gym, this food, this,
pick up,
right?
drop, pop,
right.
Pop.
But then if you were to go to your calendar and say, all right, you know what, 3 months from now, I can look at this date and know, like, okay, yeah, based on a conversation I had with that person at that time, this is what's going to happen on this day, or potentially to happen on this day, and that type of stuff. So I'm
think about that.
Right.
That
so
deep.
so imagine my head.
Yeah.
I'm like you with the routine of like, okay, like I need the timing for stuff is so critical. Like, if I don't get the kids out, I can't get to the gym. If I can't get to the gym, then okay, I can't come back and finish these tasks. I have a meeting at this time. Okay, the kids have to come home at this time. I got to start cooking or I got to start prepping because this is ball is tonight. So I got to prep. Routine.
Yes.
But then in the same breath, I now know that, all right, this is supposed to happen here. This is supposed to happen here. So it's written in the calendar in advance, whether it be the date is set or it's tentative or whatever. So as you're saying that, it's like, imagine how like
how much is
being in the moment is it's blessed when you can. But man, you're like, oh my gosh, like, okay, I want to be in the moment. But there's so many things
to think about.
So many things to think about.
I think that's the reason why sometimes when it comes to planning and stuff, I would say I'm a routine person, but I'm a little bit more of a free spirit. Like I find myself, like I have things that I want to do and get accomplished. I kind of plan them out in my head. I have a routine that I follow. Yeah. But then at the same time, I'm very flexible. Like if something comes up or I have something I can kind of try to move things around.
Yeah.
To fit, I try to fit everything in.
Okay.
You know? And sometimes that's to my own detriment. Because sometimes at the end of the week, it feels like a whole year. It's like, it was only 7 days that passed, yo. But
there was so much things you had to do.
So much things I had to do. Yeah. And so many things I had to fit in or people I fit in. And even things that I forgot about because it's like, shoot, I didn't call this person back. Or, shoot, I was supposed to go here. Or I'm getting a reminder, hey, we got this weekend. And it's like, oh my gosh,
trust me.
You know, I thought this weekend I was going to get to sleep. Like, you know? And then you realize it's just like, there's a lot of things to do. And you get too wrapped up in them. You just kind of miss life. And I was listening to another podcast on my way home from work. And he was talking about the science of like why time feels like it goes faster as you get older and it feels slower when you're younger.
Yeah.
He's like, so when you're 10 or 11, you've only lived a certain part of your life. So like that year is like a big percentage of your life, right? Because you've only had, let's say 15. You've only had 15 years, right? Yeah. When you're 45, you've had 15 years is nothing to you, right? Like, because you're like,
Been in it.
Yeah, you've been there. You've had what 3 of those, right? Like,
Jeez.
yeah, like right.
3 15-year periods. Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
So you're like, yo, you're like, so 15 years to you is nothing.
Yeah.
So I was like, damn. I was like, you know, it really put it in perspective because it's like, yeah, a year for me goes by so fast. Right now we're at what we're in.
We're in March, man.
We're in March, and I'm sitting here and I'm like,
What happened in January? Because that's what I said to myself
the
the other
time
day.
just
I asked that question. I'm like, yo, hold on a second. What happened in January? Seriously, like I thought back to it and I was like, so again, going back to living and dying by my calendar, I went back and looked at my calendar and my calendar was red, yellow, green, because we have it color coded according to whose activities or what, right? So I'm blue and I'm like, yo, I had a lot of blue, a lot of this, a lot of that. But then the kids are like red and orange and there was just red and orange all over that bad boy. So there's a lot of things that were going on. Plus, you know, you want to still be mindful of spending time with your family.
For sure.
Spending time with yourself. Like just being able to do those things. Trust me, I get it.
That's one thing I think we were talking about in the car. That's one thing I would guide myself, my younger self, is try to find a way to gracefully get everything done. Like accomplish your goals. How can we have that balance of accomplishing things but still somewhat enjoying it, because sometimes those tasks can seem kind of tedious and they get to you. It's like, you know, dance again. Oh my, it's Monday again. Jesus, it's karate again. You know, you get like, you know, and you don't feel like you get enough time, and it's like finding that balance between of like, okay, how can I? And then I was talking to a friend. I was like, yo, happiness. We always say happiness is like emotion, but it's like an action too. Like you got to constantly be doing things to make yourself happy.
Yeah, choose happiness.
Right? Like, so you got to be giving yourself something to look forward to daily.
All the time.
Yes.
Daily. Like if you're always waking up, like, people say, you just be happy you're alive. Let's just face it, we're humans, you know? We all like, even though it's our breath and we have health, we truly wouldn't appreciate it to the full until that is somewhat compromised.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's like a way to, I guess, to appreciate life and make that a little bit more enjoyable every day is just like the small things. Looking forward to something small. Like, what is it? You know, you like, that's why I like these certain things like 30 days hard and people trying to they're too hard on themselves all the time. Like, you got to still remember that, you're goal oriented and you want certain things. And if that makes you happy, go for it. Yeah. You know, knock yourself out.
But don't, if it's stressing you out, then it's not good for you.
It's not good for you. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
You need your daily wins.
Right? I would say, like, if you love dessert, have dessert every night. I'm not saying go overboard.
Don't go overboard, but
have your dessert every night. If you like chocolate, at the end of the night, that's what you're looking forward to tonight. Because guess what? Every day you're gonna be like, yes, tonight when I go home after everything, I'm gonna have that, you know, that Milky Way. I'm gonna have that, you know, dairy milk or whatever, Mr. You know,
I get it,
Mr. Big Paws. You know, I'm gonna have.
Mr. Big.
Mr. Big pauses.
I get
crazy.
The pause is needed.
I had to pause it still. I had to pause it.
But that chocolate bar is
Mr. Big Pause.
that chocolate bar is on a different level of goodness.
Man.
Yo,
Wrapping this up, and I appreciate all your feedback.
Just a quick note, and it's funny because you're saying that, but it's people don't take into account the state in which they're eating things. You know what I mean? Because we don't mindfully eat our food. We mindlessly eat.
Yeah.
So if we were in that state of quote unquote euphoria, eating that chocolate bar, man, do you know how much energy your body is now getting because you're so happy eating it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's when you're mindlessly eating it and you're mindlessly like just, even when you're eating healthy and you're dreading eating it, you're not actually doing anything great to your body because that whole process of eating is supposed to be a ritual for you.
You're supposed to enjoy it.
So do what makes you happy. You know, enjoy the moments, the days, the nights, the weeks as best as you can because it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But if we, as you said, if we can gracefully get there, you know, our 8-year-old kids, you know, just gracefully get there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't worry about what you see on the tube.
Yeah,
or what you see on the phones or the Snap or whatever. Just enjoy where you are.
Yeah.
And everything else that you are wanting would start to come to you in moments where you will see it and be like, ooh, I wanted that like a week ago, but it's here now. I'm still going to enjoy it.
That brings a whole new meaning to that Kanye West song. Drive slow. Drive slow.
Slow,
Drive
homie.
slow, homie.
Drive
Hey,
slow.
that's it.
You know what? Drive slow and don't always stare in the rear view.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
why it's
Like
small. That's
drive
why the
slow.
rear view is so
Drive
small.
slow.
But the windshield is so big
Yeah,
because
just
it's about
drive slow.
about the present.
What did Andre 3000 say? He's like, spaceships don't come with rear view mirrors.
Yes. Facts. Facts.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys.
Appreciate everything.
Appreciate everybody. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
your listening ear. This was our topic for today. Just guidance to our younger self. And when the day comes,
to anybody, to be honest.
It
I'm
is-
always talking about that younger self, but like to you.
We all got the inner child in us.
Yeah. Yes.
but towards our kids,
Towards your kids,
our
to
kids for the
yourself.
day that they can say, all right, so this was the wisdom that my old man was trying to provide to me. And
And if it applies, then great. If it applies to you and you haven't gotten to these lessons yet, and it applies to you and it can help you in some way, then more power. I love
Swing
that.
forward.
swing forward.
Yeah, if you like it, I love it.
I like that.
Yes.
So,
On that note, have a good night. Have a good day.
salute.
Take care.
Cheers.
Oh, pardon me. I apologize.
It's all
Sorry.
good. It's all good. Drive slow, homie. Drive slow. Drive slow, homie.
So the episode's done, but I wanted to ask you guys a question about